Hello, I'm author H.L. Brooks,
Hello, I'm author Cardyn Brooks.
and this is the Bitchy Quill, where we talk about publishing, the publishing industry from a feminist perspective. Now, raise your hand if you never heard of PB Squamer before today.
And also raise for the two of us, raise your hand if you didn't even know you recently were at the same book event with him.
You didn't know, yeah. Well, I knew because he was
Okay.
directly across from me.
Oh,
Um, his name is unusual, so
okay.
I was like, I was looking at it all day, but
Okay.
when I sent you the note, I was like, did you know?
No. And so we say we were at book fair at Bel Air
Yeah,
this past
we
Saturday,
didn't say, but we were at Book Fair at
but
Bel Air.
last weekend, yeah.
Was a wonderful event.
Fantastic.
It's fantastically organized. They're doing it again next year. Vendor up application.
Applications are open. I think
Thank you.
deadline is October 1st.
So yes, definitely go check that event out. This was my third year,
That was your third year, my first year.
third year. I think this was their third year. And then I've been since the first year, and it grew big.
Yeah.
It's much bigger
Yeah.
this year, and bigger and better. It
Yeah.
was really good. We got in that arena, and I was like, are they going to be able to get enough people in here? There was plenty of people there. So
Yeah.
um, this is I'm really glad this happened, went viral after
Oh
Book
my gosh, yes.
because these kinds of things have a huge impact on the book events that these people are attending. And actually, and I'll talk, I have a little note about this later in the episode to discuss, but it's a huge part of why I got burnt out from doing events. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so we're going to give you a breakdown of what happened if you don't know the whole PB Squamer of it all, or you want to know and you're not in the bookie world,
Right.
we're going to give you a quick rundown of what
Yeah.
happened and explain, you know, what it is that he said in his video, and we're going to tell you why we hated it. Why we hated the video. We're going to give it the bitchy quill treatment, and then we're going to, as we always do at the
Yeah.
bitchy quill, we're going to talk about other, things that you can do
Yeah.
to
Strategies that
strategy.
are ethical and accessible.
Hmm. So, PB Squamer is a book influencer, and he got into some hot water with the book community this past week. He posted a video about how people have been asking, so he's going to go ahead and offer to paid reviews for small authors. His words, small authors. Um, and that's a thing. I mean, small authors is a thing, but
Yeah.
I just want you to know that that was the word that he used. And I saw the original post, I think the same day that he posted it, which I think
Mhm.
was after the book fair at Bel Air,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
because he was at that event, I think he ended up in my feed. I know I saw a ton of book fair at Bel Air content in the couple of days following book
Yeah.
fair at Bel Air because it was a wonderful event and everybody was posting
Yes.
about
Yes.
it.
Yes. Because all the posts and the pictures and the
Hmm.
feedback and the reactions, I mean, it was fantastic. It was really fantastic. And it's a free to attend event, and it's a really reasonable tabling fee. Although I think it's going to be a little bit higher this for next year. I don't know what that amount is. So
So
asterisk there.
So I saw that original post that he posted, and then I started seeing the reaction posts to it, and it was swift. The backlash was swift. Um, and let's see. So basically, what he said was, I'm just going to say the facts of the matter, which is that he said that he would review small authors' books for $200. You could pay a deposit, he'd review the book. And then if you didn't like the review, he wouldn't post it. But if you did like the review, it was another $800. So it's $1,000 post for his review. Um, and
3 minutes.
and he
Maybe.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, did he give a time limit? Did he say the review would be like 3 minutes? Am I making that part up?
The 3 minute the review would be 3 minutes long, but it also had to be an audiobook. He
Mm,
blamed his ADD, ADHD that he couldn't sit down and read a book. He also said something that I found a little sus, and a lot of other the bookish people picked up on it too, including Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't know, did you see that
no,
she
no,
commented?
no,
Oh my
I
God,
didn't
let
see.
me see if I can
I
find.
mean, but that's totally consistent. She's such a bookie.
She said, I would die. I would die. There was somebody on Threads that said, I would fake my death if Sarah Jessica Parker posted this stuff. He said, Sarah Jessica Parker says, Black, shame. There isn't even a book you're interested in reading right now. Black, who
Mhm.
are you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
that
that
was
part
something.
was, yeah, where he said there's nothing out there. And I'm like, there's so much out there. Nonfiction, fiction, uh, any genre, and like all sorts of points of view. I mean, I know it's hard out there for authors of all type, but there's so many people that keep producing and putting out really beautiful work.
And
And
I
I'm
think
like, go
that
to a library.
I
You
think
know
that
me.
that was a big, yeah, go to a lot. Like you could go to a library and the libraries have like everything's by section. If you like
Yes.
fantasy, go to the fantasy section.
And you can ask a librarian. They love that.
They love that. They
They
love
are
that's
one of
their
the few.
whole training. They're like
Yes.
got their
They
tracksuit
want
on,
you. When you walk in, they make eye contact. They want you to come to them.
right? So I think that first of all, so I'm going to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about this in a minute. But first of all, there were little things in that video that irked the book community. Because what do you mean there are no books you're interested in reading right now? What do you mean? So, okay. So $200 deposit basically to get the review, and then 800 to put it up if you like it, a 3 minute review. And honestly, there was a lot of people who were shocked at the price tag. A lot of us were not surprised at the price tag, because influencers come in all different sizes and flavors. Like if you were to try to pay to get an ad in a big magazine, it's expensive. If you were trying to get a ad in a little newspaper locally, it's not as expensive. So it totally makes sense, that there are different levels of influencers. And my position has always been everybody deserves to be paid for their labor. And if they want to volunteer, if you want to volunteer to read a book, I love you. Thank you. But if you have a big platform that you took a lot of time, energy, and money to build, which I think that's another thing, is a lot of people feel like the men don't have to work as hard as a lot of women, but we'll table that for the moment.
Right.
But you deserve to be paid for your labor, and if you put out there, hey, I'm charging for this, and people are willing to pay it, and
Right.
it's legal and ethical, I think that's totally fine, and that is, um, you know, I think it's normal to pay influencers
But
to
I will say this, because you brought up um, before we started recording about Kirkus reviews, and in comparison, say the average Kirkus review can be anywhere from like 450 to $600 because they offer different specials and discounts and whatnot. But I think his price tag of $1,000 is shocking in the sense of, yes, I think he has like a million plus followers over all his platforms or whatnot. But Kirkus Reviews is asking, let's just say $500, but they have decades of experience and credibility and gravitas. So it feels like when you're paying for that, and they fully disclose that people have paid for the reviews or an evaluation of their manuscript or whatnot, it just it feels like his ego was feeding him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if how many views and sale. I don't know what the ROI would have been on
Right,
spending $1,000. I mean, you probably get better ROI if you spend it on Amazon or something, $1,000 on Amazon or something.
right.
But
Or
I
even
think
just
that
spend the 500 on a Kirkus review. If you're considering spending $1,000 with an influencer, save yourself some money and do your research and see if you might get more return on investment for $500 at Kirkus. And let me just be clear here. I've never played for a Kirkus review. I don't work for Kirkus. I'm just using them as kind of like an industry reference point because they have been around for so long.
So they were founded in 1933. They have this is what they say on their website about their reviews. Our indie reviews are written by qualified professionals such as librarians, nationally published journalists, creative executives, and more. Now, we don't get to know who they are. We don't get a list of who exactly is doing the reviews, but the assumption is due to their long-standing, established reputation in the industry that these reviews can be trusted and that they are worth paying for. They're doing something similar to what PB is doing in that you can pay the $450. It's $450 for your basic package. You can pay the $450, send in your book, get the review, and then they send you the review and you can read it, and then you can decide if you want to make it public or keep it private. Because if it's terrible, you probably don't want to make it public. So,
although I'm going off on a tangent, in recent months I have seen really funny videos from authors like reading horrible reviews about their books, and I have been so charmed by that. I was like, self-confidence, a way to make something good from something that's painful or disappointing. So it could go either way.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see somebody just like not letting things like that roll off of them. It's inspiring.
Yes.
So I'm just the area of upset. So that now you know what he was saying in the video factually.
Right.
I didn't give you any undertones other than the whole I don't have anything I'm interested in reading right now, which to every other book.
That's a flag. That's a flag.
Red flag on the play. So one area of focus of upset was the money, which we just discussed. And like we said, obviously he felt like he was a 1K influencer. Okay, if somebody's willing to pay that and they think he's worth it, I guess that's on them. And then there were some ethics questions as to it being strictly illegal to pay for a review. And it's really not that black and white. I'm not a lawyer, but I did look at sidebars.com because I already knew a little bit of this. And I, of course, read up on a little bit before I wanted to speak on the matter. But this is how I understand it. And this is what I think is true, is that it's okay to pay for a review so long as people know you're paying for the review. And so long as you're not paying just to have the review be positive and that it is disclosed by the person who's being paid that they either got a free package or they got a money or whatever it was.
Right.
So legally speaking, he had said in his video, I don't want to. He had a little ethical issue with post it. Like, I'm not going to just say your book is great if I don't think it is. So obviously he had some level of ethics in there. And so I think that he was skirting that ethical thing a little bit, but people are under the impression that paying for a book review itself is illegal. And if that was true, Kirkus and some other similar services.
There are so many universities that have literary journals and offer paid reviews. There are quite a few. Kirkus, I think, is probably the biggest name among the bookish community or a certain element of the bookish community, but there are other journals that will do the same.
Right. And I'll put the link to the sidebarsaturdays.com article. I think it was from 2021 or 2020. I don't know. It's
a few years ago.
So I'll include that link because it has some really good information. But yeah, so that is the facts of the matter. That's a little bit of why people were upset in terms of what I saw in regards to people's, making videos, responding to it and stuff. Yeah. So now I want to talk about why I hated it and how the bookish community is small, so you better watch your mouth. That is my opinion. If you know one bookish person, trust me, they know somebody that you know. Even if you've never met them, they probably know 2 or 3 people that you know. Obviously, we knew the person who runs book fair at Bel Air.
Yeah.
And that person, PB was across from me that entire event. We both know Sam, obviously, to some degree, because she organizes the event. We love you, Sam. You did a great job.
Yes. 5 out of 5 stars.
And so do you want to talk about your feelings on it first, and then
Oh,
I can
sure.
my feelings on it?
Sure. Okay, so the way I became aware of it is, even though after Book Fair at Bel Air, of course, in my feed, I was getting a lot of great pictures and feedback and videos and reels and carousels and the whole thing, which just reminded me, it's like, oh, it was just such a good event in every way. And you know how it just gins up those good feelings, those endorphins kick in again. And I was like, oh, my inner hermit even had a good time. So
If you don't know, there's a whole thing about Cardyn and her inner hermit. I'm very
giving,
that
yes.
she fought her inner hermit to come to my to the very first Right Women Network meeting that she came to, which at the time was called Women Authors of Maryland.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. So, and then a little bit of the sidebar is I had a little bit of a dual view because Book Fair at Bel Air I actually attended under my government name because that's a children's book that my parents illustrated. 'Cause my parents are artists, retired teachers, and
And lovely
so
people. And lovely.
yes, they are, and they give me a great price for their work. Um, anyway, so I was getting the feed from my rated PG or rated G socials, but also Cardyn Brooks. But anyway, but it was on the Cardyn Brooks where I saw a reaction video, and I apologize for not knowing this bookish. I think she's an author as well as a reviewer. And she was reacting. She showed part of it, and she was reacting to it. I was like, what? And then I guess because I liked it, then I started getting more people's reaction videos. And I agree with you in the sense that what put me off is, of course, for me as a person who is a binge reader, always has like 15 books from the library, books on my tablet. You like, and I'm like, there's nothing you want to read. I'm
I
like,
feel like I'm going to die before I even finish my TBR card. I was just
there's no like, and also going to Book Fair at Bel Air, you know how it is when you table at a book event, you always end up buying books too and
Mhm.
adding authors to your list because you've bought your limit, and but you still see other things and they're so fun and funny, and you're like, oh, I really like that author. I'll have to add them to my list. Your list, I mean, okay, this is going to sound judgmental, and I'm acknowledging it. Authentic book people never have enough time to read all the books that they're interested in reading. So as soon as I saw the part of the video where he said that part, I'm like, and let me say this, I can respect somebody who sees an opportunity business wise to be in the bookish community and they're bookish enough to pursue that business possibility. So
But if
I'm
it was
not
usury at this point,
right, but I'm not. So I'm not. You pursue what you decide you want to pursue,
mhm.
but don't call yourself a book person. Like, don't call yourself a book person and then say there's nothing you're interested in reading, because those two things are mutually exclusive.
Exactly. I
All
just
right, so that's my soapbox. Let me get off. Okay, so I'm
no,
off that soapbox. And let me also be clear, I'm not judging people who aren't book people. I want everybody to read because I think reading is just so good for you in every way. But I don't care if you only read a book every 10 years or like comics, graphics, Braille, however you read. I just want people to read because I think it's so beneficial. And it's one of the few free things, free if you go to the library because your tax is already paying for it, is one of the few free things that it just gives joy. Okay, so that's really, I'm getting off my soapbox. But there's nothing I want to read, but then also his whole tone. And I try to grant grace with tone because I know sometimes tone is not telling the 100% truth of how somebody's feeling or their attitude. Sometimes tone is just tone. But his tone felt very condescending.
That's
And the part in the video where he looks around to
mhm.
kind of justify needing the money, he's like, there are things I want to upgrade. I'm paraphrasing. That might not be the exact language, but he looks around. He's like, there are things I want to do. And I'm like, dude, did you rehearse this? And like,
It feels like he didn't even think twice about it.
like you didn't give yourself any pause to like, what is my intention and what will this do? Because he says his intention is to draw people in to pay him good money to review their books. But everything about his language choice, his attitude, his tone of voice, his everything is the opposite of what he seems to want to accomplish. So it's a lot of different things going on. So I'm sorry, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
No, you did.
that
That,
was
that is the tangent. That's the tangent.
yeah. But it was more other people's reactions and then showing little snippets, and I was like, I probably shouldn't watch the whole video because
It's making
I'm
you mad.
yeah, I'm annoyed.
I'm annoyed.
I'm super annoyed. So that's my rambling.
I agree. The word condescending is how I felt too. I felt he was like so it was sort of like small authors have been asking for this. So I'm going to deign to ask them,
Right.
tell them that I'll do it if you give me $1,000
Right.
plus it has to be an audiobook, which
Right.
anybody who isn't in the bookish world, if somebody not in the bookish world, not in the indie publishing world, I know some readers don't know how
Right. Right.
inexpensive it can be to have
Yes.
a book. So like you're already another bar up for a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
think that was one of the things. But it was the condescending tone. It was the small authors. And he said it like, it felt like it was with a sneer. Like we
Well, like it was like they were beneath him.
were
So if I'm going
annoying
to
the
yeah,
fuck out of him. Like,
like if
okay,
I'm going to deign to read your little book, it's you'll have to
I'm probably going to hate it,
right.
basically, because I don't have anything I'm interested in reading right now. Um, and I think that another reason that people were upset is, smaller indie authors have a lot of fatigue right now between AI taking up space in the market and there being, the market being flooded in general and having to hire out a lot of services. It gets overwhelming. And I think it's just the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. He just said it at the really, really wrong time. Um,
Tone deaf.
tone deaf. And
Tone deaf.
very tone deaf. And I think that so here's what if okay, PB, if you're listening, this is what I would have said if I were in your shoes. Hey, I'm offering disclosed paid reviews to indie authors with audiobooks. If that's something you're interested in, DM me. I think something like that would have been way different. Dude, it wasn't what you wanted. It was the way you freaking said it. It was terrible. Um, and I think that also from a woman's perspective, and you'll notice that a lot of the response videos are from women. Oops, I made my thing shrink. A lot of the response videos are from women. And the paid reviews, like, if you're going to pay for a review, you don't want to be sneered at, first of all. You don't want to be condescended to. But I've been dealing with young men online for a long time. And I think that there was just a tone in his attitude that just read very much like a lot of the young guys that I have to deal with over the years online. And, this is why I have a women's book festival and a women's writing group and a publishing podcast with you that's focused on women, because women don't face the same, we face different struggles. I always say face most of the same struggles men do, plus a lot of others.
Yes,
And
additional.
and then you have, marginalized groups, Black and brown women, who face even another layer of
Yes.
that. So I think
And you
we
add queerness on top of that, and
okay,
any kind of neurodivergence, physical disability challenge. I mean, you just name it. Because, and again, let me be clear: this is not anti cishet white men. But for those of us who are not cis het white men, and I'll even go narrower, of privilege, because we know that even cis het working class, working poor, socioeconomically disadvantaged white men have their own areas of marginalization as well. So it's very narrow with these cis het white men of privilege or influence that so often they exist in a way that unless they proactively decide to see the world outside of their experience, they're not forced to
Yeah.
until something happens that's negative for them.
Yes. And I just think that, the, not thinking for 1 second, dude, first of all, you're in a space that is mostly women. In the romance, fantasy, bookish space is mostly women online. There are men, of course, but if you're in the romance fantasy space, that is mostly women, and most of your customers were going to be women. And to talk like that and have no self-awareness whatsoever the way you were coming across, not good, not good. So that's why people are upset. And then he put out an apology. He took it down. He took the video down. Smart. He should have taken the video down. And then he put out an apology, which I watched. But I feel like it was a lot of, this is why I said that stuff and I messed up, but it didn't really he didn't have like atonement for his actions. It wasn't like, okay, so for example, and we're going to talk about this next, which is book boyfriend bash that disinvited him. So immediately there was backlash besides the stitches and the duets and the response videos and stuff. Book bash, book boyfriend bash. Is that right? Disinvited him. And so
now, did they also misstep by then also asking people to contribute to offset the financial?
I do know. I don't know.
I should have. Let me. I won't pursue that, but because I feel like then they put out a statement apologizing for doing that. But let me double check.
Okay.
I apologize if I've made
I'll
that
tell
up.
you what I saw, which was okay, first let me just say his apology was not great. It didn't acknowledge the harm he did. It basically was like, I messed up and this is why I messed up because I don't think before I post and I, like whatever. And I'm not going to ask for money and okay, fine, that's fine. But in my view, if you've done something harmful like that, you should try to do something to atone for it. So then I saw book boyfriend bash disinvited him, and they put the amount of money that they were going to pay him on there. Now I knew they were going to get backlash. I thought it was going to be from like people who liked PB. They were going to be upset, like, why I was going to come see PB. Why, I don't care that he said this, whatever. He didn't mean it. He's a nice, whatever they were going to say.
Right.
That isn't what happened. Instead, and you know this because how many times have I messaged you before the Right Women Book Fest and gone, people are talking shit about event planners again, and I just can't do this anymore because anyway, so they disinvited him. I thought there was going to be some backlash for people,
his fans
who wanted to see him.
Yes.
But that isn't what happened. People were mad when they found out how much they were paying him. And not only were they paying him $3,000, but they were going to pay him the $2,000 in the contract to pay out his contract, at which, why on earth did they not have
who signed off on that contract?
Who signed off and not saying if you go viral for a very bad reason in the bookish community,
that potentially hurts our attendance for our event.
Again, a romance event, which is again what? Mostly women. So people were upset and authors were like, I have to pay, and why are people getting paid? And that's so much money. And they were mad that he was getting paid. And then there was a lot of, then the event planner bashing started, which let me just so last year was our last year of the Right Women Book Fest. It was our sixth year. It was a great year. It was a rough year because of two things. Trump being elected and all of the
The
Doge.
economy.
The economy just went, and people were scared and uncertain of what was going to happen. And then A Million Lives book thing happened, and
Yeah.
then
Oh yeah.
authors were getting scared and they didn't want to invest to come to it happened just before our event. So they're like, when I'm like, okay, everybody was mad about the not about A Million Lives not disclosing that ticket sales were slow. I was like, okay, that our ticket sales are a little slow, not completely devoid, but slower than previous years. And I knew why, because of the economy. And so it's like, okay, well, everybody says they want you to disclose this information. But here's the thing that people that don't plan events don't recognize is that the minute you disclose something like ticket sales are a little slow right now, they want to bail. And then that affects the entire event and everybody else who decides to stay. So I had a couple of authors bail. And that was fine. I mean, especially if they're coming from far away, I get it. But people who don't plan book events don't understand how hard it is. And so anyway,
And
but
sidebar, we were very fortunate last year in the fact that because it was our sixth year and we had already developed such a strong
mhm,
reputation for delivering,
mhm,
that saved us.
right.
That saved us. But if we had been a first or second year event last year, I
Mhm.
don't think I don't think we would have prospered. I don't think it would have been successful.
Right. And as long as it was also a Trump year, because honestly, it was the two things together. It was that people getting fired left and right, not knowing if their jobs were going to be
Yeah.
intact. And I think people have kind of acclimated to that now. So book events are doing a little bit better this year.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of book events, next month, September 19th, we have our last book event for quite a while. It's a very small, back to our roots. It's called Women in Fiction Book Fair, and it's 24, 25 authors that will be at Marietta House, but that info will be in the description as well. But anyway,
Now called Marietta Historic Site and Museum. It's the name has been updated in the past year. I don't even think it's been a full year yet.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so he put this apology out, and I read that thing and I thought, if so they put that statement out and then he had the apology, which I think that probably the two are connected. But I was like, if he really was wanting to atone, it would be a good show of faith if he declined to take the $2,000 from a small business. Now, again, I don't even know if I said this. I don't know the book boyfriend bash people at all. I have no idea what they're like, who owns it, what
Right,
their ethics or
right,
politics or
right.
anything.
But
So
they seem lovely.
they seem nice, and they did what I would have done, which I would have yanked him to. So then they were getting a lot of heat, and that triggered me. And I'm like, this is why I'm not doing book events, because I can't. You can do everything right, and something like this can still happen. Now, imagine if this had happened right before Book Fair at Bel Air, and then Sam would have had, on top of all the planning and organizing and juggling you have to do. I just couldn't take it. I knew emotionally I would not do well if people were scrutinizing what they wanted to see, what I was spending my money on and how much I was paying my appearance people and whatever. Like,
Right,
does anybody go into your book business and read every expect, oh, you
right,
shouldn't have spent that much on a influencer, you shouldn't have spent that much
right.
on bookmarks or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
no, I mean, it's a business, and I understand people feeling like, okay, I spent 900 at this event and my table's this big and nobody came. I mean, I get that. But for established book events that have been doing well, I just think that, for me, I couldn't take the scrutiny. So I guess in some ways I'm a failed large book event planner, in that I just felt like I couldn't take it if anything like that happened emotionally. Because the nights before the Right Women Book Fest, I literally could not sleep because I was so nervous the authors would have a bad time, that there would be one that didn't sell a book. And there have been
right,
some that didn't sell books, but some sold out of books. So,
right.
I mean, that's the other thing is, I saw somebody on Thread say, I have to pay this and no guarantee that I'm going to sell books. I'm like, I respond, I was like, no book event can guarantee you're going
Right.
to sell. No, I don't care how big it is.
Right. Well, and also because the bottom line is, and maybe also, I think some people are in recent years have been more transparent about what it's like tabling at a book event and giving you perspective. Because if you're not a marquee best-selling author, there really are no guarantees, because the reason that book event planners pay the marquee authors and pay the popular
Influence.
influencers is because they want those people to use the power of their attraction and their established um, audience to come see them
Hmm.
and to drift around the venue and maybe take a chance on one or two authors they've never heard of because they have a good interaction or because the cover art is beautiful or the blurb is enticing or whatnot. Like the book business, there's so many variables.
Hmm.
Like even our recent book event, we were fortunate because we had a horrible weather forecast that actually got pushed to later in the afternoon, early evening. So the fact that it was from 10 to 2, that worked in our favor. But what if it had been 12 to 4 or 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Like, because when we were breaking down and leaving, the skies were like dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it was getting ready.
Right. That whole arena was getting pelted. And
Yeah.
there are so many factors outside of your control when you're running a book event. So I guess what I would ask people to do, authors that are not familiar with how book events work, to be curious about it instead of judgmental and be like, okay, well, why, instead of being like angry that they pay for to bring in an influencer or pay an author that has a bigger name, to ask why does it work that way, rather than be like, I should get paid instead of having to pay or whatever.
Right.
Also, just it's so expensive to put on one, like,
The venues are, that's also when you see a book event and they have like a bank is a sponsor, but like, or an investment firm is a sponsor, it's because venues are costly.
they're very costly.
And so, I'm going to do kudos again to Book Fair at Bel Air with how they've grown so much. So this year was their third year, but it was their first year at that. I'm only always going to get the initials wrong. APGFCU. I'm pretty sure that's right. Credit Union
Goo.
in Harford County, Harford County Community College. That venue was much bigger because they'd had such good turnout the first 2 years, but that venue costs money. So
Yeah.
that's why they need corporate sponsors. And then more kudos to Sam and her team, because not only did they go to a bigger venue that was appropriate, that has plentiful free parking,
Yes.
but also that she was able still to keep the event free. And for people who don't plan events in general, but book events in particular, to have a venue that's big enough, to have plentiful free parking and actually good access between the parking and the venue, like it's these kinds of minute details that can make or break the success of a book event and its continued success.
Right.
And people don't know it, and I wouldn't expect you to. If you're not a bookish person, if you don't plan book events, there are plenty of things I would understand that the average person doesn't know. But that's a long rambling thing to go on your point of maybe be curious, especially in a scenario where it's obvious that the people planning an event are people of goodwill.
And who love books and
Yeah. And
authors.
want people to come and have a good time.
Right. I think it would be a rare thing for somebody planning a book event to just be grifting.
Let
Like,
me say this.
it
Book event
happens.
planners, they're like teachers. People that go into teaching, they don't go into teaching to get rich,
Right.
right?
Right.
So book event planners, the real ones, the nitty-gritty ones that are doing it for the love of books and book community, they're not doing it to get rich, because they're most likely not going to get rich unless they started out rich.
Right. Or have huge sponsors
Mhm.
and connections. So because, that's a thing too.
Right.
But there are also many book events that happen year after year after
Yeah.
year that do very well. But there isn't a single one that hasn't gotten complaints
Yeah.
of some kind, just because people
Humans.
can't make everybody happy. You just can't.
Just
So anyway, that's
yeah.
our feeling about the whole PB Squamer thing and the fallout and how it impacts other people and that all that kind of thing. So, but here at the Bitchy Quill, we like to bitch about things, but then we like to come up with action items.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about action?
Sure. So one thing that's been very encouraging and entertaining is other influencers and book reviewers' responses to both his video and his apology. And so I've seen a wide range of women, men, all ethnicities, different ages, um, post and say, hey, I love to read authors' books, and I'm happy to read your book and review it for no charge. And here's my link in the bio. And that's been really encouraging. And I'm sorry that off the top of my head I should have jotted down notes. But I've seen some really charming ways it's been presented, and they put up their contact information, they say what their genres are that they prefer, but go even if it's not your genre, go ahead and send me a little something about what it's about because I might be interested, kind of thing. And so it feels like ultimately PB is going to learn a lesson. And I think it opens up the community in a way that maybe was unexpected, because that's been in my feed of a lot of people like, I review and I don't charge anything, and I give honest reviews, and I let you see it first, and if you don't want me to post it, I won't post it and whatnot. So I feel like it has created an opportunity for small authors to get exposed to some people that are willing to review their books and not charge them any money at all.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
feels like that's going to be worthwhile. So what's your takeaway?
Well, I think it would help if we all collectively realized and recognized that influencers are now part of the review ecosystem, and that paid reviews, as long as they're disclosed and as long as they're ethical, are legitimate, and just let that be a thing, because it is part of the ecosystem now. And I think that would help with the rage a little bit. And then I would say, if you are going to pay an influencer, try to find marginalized influencers first and foremost. There are a lot of smaller micro influencers that might take like a package instead, or they might take a much smaller fee, or something in trade. Like
Right.
they're building their community too, and it would be great if they had cooperation from other, small authors and small. I know the idea is that you're a small author, you want to get a big influencer to do it.
Right.
But I would say that being cooperative and working with influencers who have a little bit of a track record. Like, you don't want to probably start off with somebody who has one review and they haven't posted in 3 months or something like that. Like, you want somebody that's a little established. But to look out and to start with the marginalized authors, the Black and brown authors, the gay LGBTQ
Yeah.
plus authors, or authors, influencers.
Yeah.
Those influencers should be your first stop, and that would help the whole ecosystem a little
Yeah.
bit more. Um, and there's just different ways to approach it that doesn't have to be dropping $1,000 on a bigger influencer. And
And also genuine connection. Like, sometimes look through and see, is there something about an influencer, maybe their take on the bookish community, that really resonates with you?
yeah,
Because if you can have one kind of thread of like a genuine interest with someone, that makes it so much easier, and also that authenticity comes across.
I agree. And this is how, like, the Right Women Network and the Right Women Book Fest has, so at Book Fair at Bel Air, I'd seen multiple alumni from the Right Women Book,
Yes, yes.
and several of them spoke so kindly and highly about the connections they made. And the same thing with the Right Women Network, which is a group on Facebook that I have, that they connected with they wrote a book with somebody, or they now have a good book, but review buddy or some, just like though. I felt like, so we were a little sad, burnt out, but sad that, yeah, last year was our last year for the Right Women Book Fest. But we also, after talking about it just the other day, about the nice feedback I got while we were, and so I was relaying to you the things people had said
Yeah,
to me. And I said, I feel like we did what we set out to
yeah.
do. Like, sure, we could keep doing it, I guess, but I feel good about what we did and what we
Yeah.
accomplished, and that we did what we set out to do, which was connect women authors,
Yeah.
elevate marginalized authors into a space, made a space that felt safe and comfortable to have there. We had a lot of people who it was their first event that they'd ever done.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was special, that it did mean as much to them as we wanted it to mean to them.
Yeah. So let
And
me say one other thing too about connection. I had to get her business card because I didn't want to mess up her name. So as I said, at Book Fair at Bel Air, I was actually in the children's book section, which was on the other side from the adult people, to keep the innocent. Um, and an author who was tabling there was walking around and seeing, other people's books, and we were talking, and we kept looking at each other. And I said, I feel like I already know you. And she's like, well, let's connect. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to walk around too, and I'll come to your table. So about an hour later, I walk around and I see her, and we're talking about connecting. And I say, oh, I was like, think about if, would you like to chat with us on the Bitchy Quill and tell us about what you have out now and what you're working on for the future and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but Heather and I are doing the smaller book event, Women in Fiction, a book fair at Marietta, a historic site and museum. So that's end of September. So don't feel like I've ghosted you if I don't reach out again in October. So she said, oh, I'm going to be at that. I said, oh, I've been seeing your name. That's why I know you. And she had been at the Right Women Book Fest too. And that was, I want to, Constance Hayes Matsumoto. So I want to give her a shout out. But it was
shout
so
out.
funny. Yeah, but about like connecting and not knowing how you already know somebody. But as
Right.
soon as I said women in fiction, she's like, she said, I'm tabling there. And I said, oh, well, you can remind me then that we need to schedule.
I know. It's so hard to, like, the event's so big that, and I'm so overwhelmed on day of, like, I hide a little bit and let the management
Yeah,
take care of
yeah,
it. And I'm like, people will come up to me and talk to me. And I'm like, I wish everybody just had a name tag. I'm much better at faces than names. Like, I can pick you out, but the names I get, and I'm terrified of insulting somebody. Like,
right.
so I'm like, I know, like, I'm always hoping the name is going to come up somehow.
Yeah.
And so that does happen to me
But
too.
we had a good laugh about that. I was like, okay, well, I'm not just hallucinating that I know you.
Okay, well, that concludes this episode of the Bitchy Quill. Please come out to the Women in Fiction Book Fair on September 19th. It's free. You can find the information at our website, therightwomenbookfest.org. And you can also call Marietta House Museum and Historic Site,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that has
Marietta Historic Site and Museum.
the historic site.
That's what they're talking about. Yeah.
All the
It's
links,
new.
everything's at the Right Women Book Fest, which will be linked in the information below.
It's
And
also on the PG Parks and Rec site too.
it's also on the PG Parks and Rec site. And I think it's going to be on their Facebook page as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah. So, or you can always reach out to us and we will give you the information, and we hope to see you there. Come out. If you're an influencer who wants to support indie authors for free, this is a great opportunity for that. If
Come
you're,
talk to them, ask them about their work.
yep. So, all righty. Well, thank you so much. And we will talk to you next time. I need a bitchy quill outro. I'll work on that.